Hi, this is your observationist here. I would talk about things of the modern world, from history, politics, basically things that are of some interest to me. But today I'm going to be talking about something fairly personal. It involves the Mexican medical system here and my sister. I'm in Oaxaca. I came down here to live a little while ago. Came down here to be with my sister to kind of help her through what was becoming a difficult time for her. She had moved down here to be with her son, my nephew, and then my nephew had to go back to the States to work and so forth, and left my sister alone. But she loved it here, and I came down here, and I liked it as well. She had her place, I had my place. Took care of her a little bit. It was nice, but then as things happen, her health got worse, and she had to come live with me, which was fine. I had a spare bedroom, no problem. We had medical care, nursing care for her 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, and that was good for her. That gave her what she needed for that time. And the cost for that was very reasonable. Her Social Security was able to handle that quite easily. It was only about 60, $70 a week. It was quite easy. Then it happened. I guess she had gotten up in the middle of the night, and it was dark, and she must have fallen somehow. And when I woke up the next day, she was there on the living room floor, and she had broken her hip. And so I immediately called the doctor. The doctor called the ambulance. He got here first, and then the ambulance came. The doctor spent about an hour and a half with us, explaining to me what was going on and what was involved and what was likely to happen, and answered all my questions, and he was just absolutely great. And then the ambulance came, and the ambulance I was surprised at something they did. They brought this device out and they put it underneath her, and they took an X-ray, which makes perfectly good sense, because a person with a broken hip, you just can't simply move them easily. And because any kind of movement can make things a whole lot worse when you have a broken hip. But they put this underneath her, and they took the X-ray, and then they got in real time what her situation was, and so they were able to move her very properly to the ambulance, took her to the hospital. By the way, that ambulance ride cost about $100 American, and then the doctor's visit, remember I told you he was there for about an hour and a half. That doctor's visit cost about $75. Who can even afford a doctor's visit in the United States? I never even heard of that in the United States. And I lived in the United States all my life. From the Chicago area. So anyway, and also before she got in the ambulance, another nurse came and took a blood work. That blood work was also cost about $75. And by the way, the X-ray was all part of the ambulance service. There was no extra charge for the X-ray, which in the United States there definitely would have been. And so we went to the hospital. Next day I went to the hospital to see her and to talk with the doctor. And initially we were all planning to have an operation, but in talking with the doctor, he told me that in her condition and the situation that she was in, her prognosis was not good. She might probably live only about 6 months, which was kind of a hit to the gut. To be honest, that was pretty hard to take. And he was quite honest that he's saying in her condition she's very weak, and so therefore a person is when they're going to take any surgery on the body is an invasion of the body, and it's a big shock to the system. And if a person's not healthy enough or strong enough, they may not even survive the surgery. So we decided not to have the surgery, and so we took her back to the house. But again, that was about another $100. And like I said, I've had cab rides in Chicago more than $100 easily. So we got her back here. Then when she's back here in a room here, I got medical care, nursing care for her, 24/7. Again, that cost more. That cost about $200 a week. So her Social Security could handle that a little bit. Could almost handle that, and so that's kind of what happened there. As it turned out, she only lived about 2 or 3 more weeks, and then she was gone. The thing though that was kind of nice is that my sister had been a nurse all her life, and she had always been afraid of dying in a hospital. She didn't want to die in someplace strange without anybody around her that she knew or anything like that. She wanted to, when she was going to go, when her time comes, she wanted to be at home, and she wanted to be for friends and family, and she was, and she did. And her passing was very peaceful and peaceable, and it was the way she wanted it. Now, I didn't really want to go on about my sister as much as I wanted to talk about the medical system, medical care here in Oaxaca. I was basically stunned by it, how humane they were, how kind they were, how like the doctor could have easily gone for the surgery. If he had said surgery, I would have gone with it. But he was going for what was best and not what was most profitable to him. One of the things we see in the United States is that the most common form of bankruptcy in the United States is medical bankruptcy. And medical bankruptcies are almost unknown in the rest of the world because people are not allowed to, the medical system is not allowed to just simply suck all the money out of a family. And that's a shame in the United States, where people spend their lives saving money, building up their wealth for their own retirement, but then something to leave to their family, to their children and to their grandchildren maybe. And yet what happens too often is that money just sucked away from them by the medical system, the doctors, the hospitals, all the fees, all the costs. And like I said, like the X-ray that she had on the floor, that surprised me the most, because as I learned, I did a little research, that basically is not done in the United States. Here it's standard. They do it everywhere. They do it on virtually any time they're going to move a patient. That's what they use. And there's no extra charge for it. It's just like that's part of the service. And I'm like, wow, that's different than what it is in the States. If they did have that as a service, I'm sure there'd be another $300 or $400 or $500 bill for just having the X-ray. The United States is just money grubbing. The medical system itself is just money grubbing, and it's not focused on the patient or their family at all, except as a source of money, and that's a shame. Anyway, that's my observation on that issue. Other issues I'm going to be doing in the future are going to be a little more lighthearted, I hope. But I did want to start off with that one because it was something that was close to my heart. And if you have had other experiences in other countries, I would really like to hear about those. I'd like to learn what other countries are what's happening in other countries, especially from real experiences. What have you actually had happen in another country, and what did things cost you, and how did they treat you? I'd like to hear that. So if you can, leave that in the comments. Anyway, thanks a lot, and that's going to be it. I'm going to be signing off. See you next time.